We're first going to go to the Interzoid website at www.interzoid.com. In here, we can click on APIs and get a list of all of the APIs that are available to us. We can scroll down and see what other ones are there. But in this particular case, we're going to make use of the get company match similarity key. And if I click on it, it's going to give me some descriptive information, some examples, some technical information, and so forth. But we're not going to need any of that because everything we need is already built into the Cloud Data Connect product from Interzoid. So what we do need to do in order to make use of this particular API within the Interzoid Cloud Data Connect product is register for an API license key. To do that, I simply click on register, fill out various pieces of information including my email address, and upon verification, the API license key will be emailed to me, and I can then use it within the Interzoid Cloud Data Connect product, and that will enable us to analyze and then match data within our Postgres database, all directly within the product and over the cloud or to our local database or whatever we happen to be doing. Okay, so if you don't have Postgres installed yet or want to upgrade your version, to do so, come here to the Postgres website and you can see the current versions at the time of this recording. All you need to do is click download and then scroll down and you can pick your version, Linux, Windows, Mac, Solaris, BSD, and you walk through the install process, which we won't do here, and you'll be ready to run this demo. Okay, here we are in PG Admin, the Postgres Administration tool, and you can see our default database, Postgres, here. And so if I right click on that, what we're going to want to do is select the query tool. And then now here we're in the query editor, and I'm going to create a database that we're going to use for the demo. We're going to call it Interzoid, and then execute. Now we've created that database. Now it's not showing here under databases, so we're going to right click on servers and there's a refresh. And when I come back, we can now see the Interzoid database that I'm going to connect to. And I can begin to start using the Interzoid database that we have created. Now that we have our database, Interzoid, created, the next step is to create a table and populate that table with some data so we can begin to perform some of our data engineering processes. Now, I have some pre-created data available on the Interzoid website that we're going to go and grab and essentially bring into the Postgres database. So the next step will be to go to the Interzoid website. So if we go to the Interzoid website, we've got some sample data created to make this easy. So we're going to go to the company name SQL link, click on that, and you can see here we've got a create table statement ready to go, along with some values to insert into the table. So we're going to go ahead and copy that, do a Control A and then a Control C. And then we'll come back to our query editor and paste that right in with a Control V. And if you scroll up, you can see back to the left, the create table statement is there. So we will first create the table with 2 columns and then begin to insert some individual values that we will use as part of our data processing. Run the query, and in 73 seconds it successfully ran. Okay, if I want to ensure that the data was loaded successfully, I can go back to the query editor and enter a simple query, select star from companies, execute that query, and I can see down below some of the various data elements that we loaded into our table that we're going to begin to work with. So here we are at the website landing page for the Interzoid Cloud Data Connect product. And so we'll just scroll down until we get to the place where we can actually download the product. And we'll click on that. And then here on the download page, you can see the different versions, Windows, Linux, Apple, Mac OS, Darwin, and so forth that we can download. And then we also have the option to download the non-ODBC or the ODBC enabled version. Now in this particular case with Postgres, we're going to be using a native driver, so we do not need the ODBC version. However, if you think you will be using Interzoid Data Connect with the other databases that might require an ODBC connection, you can download this one, but it will work the same regardless for this particular demo. So let's go ahead and click on the Windows version and download that to our PC for this demo. Okay, once we've downloaded and unzipped the Interzoid Data Connect product, let's go to the directory where the executable is. And in this case, it's a Windows example. And so we've just created a directory called IZDC for Interzoid Data Connect. And we're going to actually run the match report from the command line. And there's a lot of advantages to doing that. And so in this particular case, all we have to do is have the executable name. The function name will be a parameter, and that tells us essentially which API we're going to call. The target is the database that we're going to be communicating with, and in this case it's Postgres, and it's a native driver, so that tells Data Connect which database to go after. The license key for the API key from the Interzoid registration that we did earlier, so you will need a key to execute it. That's what it uses to call the API. And then a connection string, which has your Postgres information, your password to the database, and so forth. In this case, we're going to a local host where we have the database installed. The algorithm, you can look at the company match API documentation on the Interzoid website for more information about the different algorithm choices. In this case, we're going to go for a broader or wider algorithm. And then the table name that we're going to be analyzing. And then the column is the column name within that table is the actual field or column that contains the data that we're going to be sending to the API that will enable us to generate the match report, identifying inconsistently represented examples of the same company or organization name in our table. Let's go ahead and press enter to run that, and you can see that we've connected to Postgres successfully through the native driver. We've connected to the table, and we're sequentially going through each record calling the API to generate a similarity key, and then sorting the results by similarity key so we can cluster those records that are similar and see that there are matching, such as Microsoft Core, Microsoft, different versions of Best Western. Again, you can see that the similarity key is the same for each match that we've discovered. And if you would like, you could go back into the table and actually see these records that have the inconsistencies in the company name. But the idea here is to give you a quick sense of what running a match report from the command line, again without any coding, is like. Connect to the table, click enter, and generate your report and see what level of inconsistency, duplication, redundancy, whatever term you want to use, exists in a given table. So now we're going to actually insert the similarity keys via a new table into the Postgres database. And that will, of course, give us all kinds of freedom as to what we can do with those similarity keys going forward once they're part of our tables and we have full access to them. So in order to do that, we're going to add a few more parameters to the command line function. And you can see we're going to say keys only equal true. We're going to generate SQL statements instead of a report. We're going to create a new table. This will be the instruction that sends the similarity keys to a newly created table within Postgres. And optionally, it'll give it a default name, but here we're going to go ahead and use company sims as the new table name. So we'll go ahead and press enter, and it will then connect to the database, create the table, begin to process the individual records, call the API to generate the keys, and then insert those tables, those records, into the database. And then we'll come back to the Postgres Administration tool, and you will see if we go down and scroll down to tables, we now have a second table here called Company Sims. If we right click on that and go to the query tool, we can do a select star from Company Sims and execute that query. And then if we look down here at the actual table, we can see that here are the company names, and we can actually look at some of the keys, and you can see some of them continue to line up next to each other, like Costco stores and Costco, the red line, and so forth. So now we actually have a new table with similarity keys appended to that table to use however we want. With other data, we can match in the same table, we can match across tables, we can use these keys to search, we can use these keys to append data from other data sources that are keyed by a company name. The sky's the limit as to what we can do.